Today, we're going to take a closer look at some great news that just came out for the semiconductor market. And also, I want to take a closer look at Nvidia. Yesterday, I did a video that kind of talked a little bit about the company and some more export restrictions that might be coming to Nvidia and how it might hurt revenue for the A800 and the H800, two chips that go into China. So, we kind of talked a little bit about it in yesterday's episode. Today, I want to give an update that the CFO actually kind of talked about the guidance a little bit more of how this may impact the company. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right, so let's start off really quick with Nvidia. The stock ended 1.8% on today. One of the main reasons is we did see yesterday that, hey, there might be an increase on export restrictions to certain AI chips to China, and obviously that will impact Nvidia it will impact Nvidia. The real question is how much. But before we take a closer look at that topic, I want to take a closer look at just the overall semiconductor market. We did have Micron Technology, the huge memory company, report earnings today, and we can see the stock price is up roughly 3.1%. If we take a closer look, the CEO did mention that they believe the memory industry has passed its throw in revenue, and they expect margins to improve as industry supply-demand balance is gradually restored. So obviously, memory is an important portion of the semiconductor market. It's also a very important portion of the consumer market, and kind of seeing maybe this industry kind of balancing out a little bit more might show a little bit more strength in the consumer space for electronics for the mobile market. So even though if we take a closer look at revenue was $3.7 billion versus $3.69 billion a quarter ago, and $8.6 billion same time last year. That's a huge difference, over 50% drop in total revenue with this kind of slowdown that we're seeing in the market. But overall, it's starting to show. We've heard a lot about it in other semiconductor companies that, hey, things are looking better. Now it looks like things are looking better on the memory side, which I do believe can kind of bring some bullish case and some bullish light to a lot of semiconductor companies and maybe a lot of electronic companies as well. So I want to kind of start up with that news. All right, so next I want to jump into Nvidia, but before we go any further, if you guys are enjoying the episode, please make sure to hit the thumbs up. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 30,000 subs by the end of the year, and I truly need your help. If you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, I also have a semiconductor membership. Just hit join. And finally,
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
so earlier this morning, Nvidia did have an event that really focused about their networking side, especially network for artificial intelligence. And I do want to cover a little bit of the stuff that was covered in this presentation. I do believe there's a lot of great information. So to start off the conference, one of the kind of senior research analysts started off by saying, hey, look, earlier, late last night, we did hear a little bit more about kind of these Chinese U.S. export controls. What can you tell us about it before we kind of get into the event of the networking side? And this was kind of talking to NVIDIA CFO. So NVIDIA CFO responded and said, hey, we are aware of reports that the U.S. Department of Commerce is considering further controls that may restrict exports of our A800 and our H800 products to China. So right off the bat, we could see that the reports are true to some extent. However, given the strength of our demand for our products worldwide, we do not anticipate that such additional restrictions, if adopted, would have an immediate material impact on our financial results. And I think that is insane. And the main reason I think that's insane is because later on we're going to see that this company mentioned that their total data center revenue is roughly 25% from China. So they're saying that, hey, if additional restrictions come out, they're not going to kind of hurt us at all in the short term of things because of the huge demand that we're seeing. They do mention, though, over the long term, restrictions prohibiting for the sale of our data center GPUs to China, if implemented, we will result in a permanent loss of opportunities for the U.S. industries to compete and lead in one of the world's largest markets, and the impact on our future business and financial results there. So pretty much saying, hey, in the short term, maybe this quarter, maybe next quarter, maybe this year, because of the huge demand we're seeing from the H100 and all these AI products, we could care less about what's happening in China. But in the long term, this is definitely something that can definitely hurt us for growth opportunities. There was a follow-up question saying, hey, one question we're getting hit a lot in this morning is some context around the percentage of your data center revenue that is driven by the sales to China. So they mentioned that, hey, this kind of metric is always a little bit all over the place, but they believe the contributions to China has been roughly 20 to 25% of their data center revenue. But keep in mind that this includes all their compute products and system, also their networking side, and probably some of their software solutions, right? So it's not just the H100 that makes up all that revenue in China. There are a lot of other chips out there and a lot of other products that Nvidia has, but roughly 20 to 25% comes from China alone. So if we take a closer look at their most recent earnings, where data center was roughly $4.3 billion, in theory, Chinese revenue was roughly around $1 billion there. So definitely a nice chunk of the pie. But like I mentioned, and like they mentioned that, hey, it's not all just H100 products. It also has to do a lot with networking solutions and some of the other solutions in the and some of the other solutions that Nvidia also has. I almost said the automotive market, but the automotive market is a whole different segment. This again is just 20 to 25% within the data center market. Now, I want to finish off this topic by talking a little bit more of what happened in this presentation. Like I mentioned, this presentation was more about the networking side. And for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA has a nice amount of networking solutions. A few years ago, roughly 3 years ago, they ended up purchasing a company called Mellanox. Now, thanks to that acquisition, they have a lot of networking solutions, like, for example, their most recently Spectrum X, which is an amazing switch that is used for AI markets. They also have the NVIDIA Bluefield 3 data processing units, and a lot of so here we can see the Spectrum and the NVIDIA Bluefield are two of their core products in the networking side. Thanks to the Mellanox acquisition, there's obviously a lot of other solutions that they have, but those are their two kind of main products within there. So they are saying that, hey, the way data centers are being built right now is completely different, and that is thanks to AI. They mentioned that now, if you look at a data center, there is a collection of GPUs, and actually, the way you connect those GPUs define the data centers. The way that you can, and there previously, right, the traditional data center is built to support many, many, many users and to support a huge variety of workloads, and most of them are very small. So you got single nodes, right? So all these data centers, they're just like a bunch of little supercomputers that if you go on the cloud, they're able to kind of release all these small nodes for single workloads, right? So it's a big supercomputer, but within those big supercomputer, it's pretty much like one, multiple small computers in there where they're kind of being used out in the cloud for numerous workloads. Now they're actually facing a creation of a new kind of cloud, and this is pretty interesting, and this is what's so exciting about NVIDIA, right? It's even though we hear about the data center market, and this is being transformed into a new version due to the kind of generation of AI workloads and cloud and this new cloud to support AI workloads. The AI workloads are not just running on a single node, but what they need is to work in a multiple pod where they run across numerous nodes. So what you're really creating is now a supercomputer that needs to talk to maybe not just one or two GPUs, but thousands and thousands and thousands of GPUs at the same time to be able to do a lot of kind of these large language models and to be able to talk to all those multiple kind of GPUs at the same time. That's where the networking side happens, because you do not want any form of slowdown or latency lag between the discussion, right? That discussion between all those GPUs that are needed for these high performance AI workloads. So that's what they created, kind of Spectrum X. And they do talk a little bit about Spectrum X, that, hey, they developed this to kind of be the solution of this new data center market. But they do mention that, hey, this is why they believe that, hey, thanks to the AI market, they're not only seeing huge demand of obviously their H100, their A100, but they're also seeing strong growth in their data center networking solution, like their Bluefield DPUs and like their kind of Spectrum switches, especially the Spectrum X, which is mainly meant for this type of AI data center cloud that's being created where, hey, we're going to need you to communicate and talk to thousands and thousands of GPUs at the same time. So I kind of just wanted to showcase that a little bit more. I think it's pretty interesting. It makes me pretty excited to be an Nvidia shareholder. At the same time, though, Nvidia still at $1 trillion market cap. I believe that's still insane. For me, I'm not purchasing at these levels. I'm not selling at these levels either. Easily, Nvidia is my number one position in my portfolio. If I didn't have a position, I definitely would be very, very careful with the valuation and the volatility that it could see. This would probably be a company, if I didn't have a position, that I would dollar cost average. Very, very small position over time. But there's obviously a lot of other semiconductor companies out there that I believe have better opportunity in forms of valuation right now. Nvidia, in my opinion, is it definitely has opportunity, but it does come with a little bit more risk to reward ratio right now, which is something I probably wouldn't like. But again, we're seeing a lot of great new markets coming out for this company. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.